Welcome to part 3. If you don't struggle with introductions, you probably struggle with conclusions. When I do any kind of writing myself, conclusions are my least favorite part. I always feel like I've said everything I have to say, so how do I write a whole other paragraph about this? The main thing to keep in mind is the purpose of a conclusion, or rather, its purposes. First of all, as audience members, we're conditioned to expect hints that the end is coming up. Imagine, for example, if a speaker just stopped in the middle of a speech and walked off stage. The audience would be really confused. They'd be like, do we get up now? Is it over? What's going on? So part of the purpose of a conclusion is just to fulfill that expectation, give the reader a wrap up, give some hints. We're coming to an end now. In conclusion, finally, to wrap up, and so on. It's also a good opportunity, the conclusion, to make sure that the reader is in no doubt whatsoever of what your main point is. You don't have to use the exact same wording of the thesis as you did in your intro, but you should definitely return to that main point and drive it home one more time in some new or interesting way. Thirdly, the conclusion is all about connecting to the future. You've made your argument, all your reasons, all your statistics, your evidence, that's all in the past. You've done that. Now you want to motivate your reader to go forward into whatever comes next. It's up to them whether they're going to take what they've learned and do anything with it in the future or not. If it's appropriate to your paper topic, you could use the conclusion for a call to action. That might mean asking your reader to think differently about the issue from now on, or to actually go ahead and change their behavior. Go do something. Go call their senator. Change how they discipline their children. Start eating more healthy. Whatever that might be that you're calling them to change. And lastly, in more advanced academic arguments, sometimes the conclusion outlines whatever the next step is for research, like okay, in this paper, we've discovered X, Y, and Z. Now it's time for someone to do a study to find out the next thing, to take the research to the next level, whatever that might look like. So here are some options for conclusions, ways to approach it. Some of these you're probably already familiar with. Connecting to something, a little story that you said in the beginning, bringing that up again, that can provide a nice cohesive, coming back around that the reader will really like. Another narrative or example illustrating your main argument, the call to action that we talked about, some specific steps perhaps for the reader to take action, or prediction about the future if you don't go too much overboard. As I pointed out earlier, the conclusion can be a place where you get a little more artful with your style. You can sound a little bit more poetic, get up on your soapbox a little bit, use parallelism, tell a story, make your language really compelling and beautiful and, stylistic in a way that if you're maybe more logical and rational in the main body of your essay. Here we have 3 slides with very different and interesting conclusions. This one, I believe, connects back to this is the conclusion for the essay that began with the I am not a drug addict. And then the others are similar as well. So I'm going to give you a chance to pause the video for each one, read through them. Your activity is to look for the thesis, secondly, look for what they want the reader to do, what change do they want the reader to take, and thirdly, look for how the author looks forward to the future. What connection to the future does the author include in their conclusion? So here is number 1. You can pause and read. Here is number 2. And finally, conclusion number 3. And that brings us to the end of this video. As always, if you have any questions, send me an email.